Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my kitchen. Welcome to my channel. Today I am making my homemade yogurt that I make from coconut milk. So the first order of business is to soak your cashews. We're going to use 1 cup of halved, kind of chopped cashews, not whole. And we're going to just soak it in enough water to cover by quite a bit, because I like to keep the heat good and hot so that it softens them up. It will help them blend well later on. Everything that we use for this apparently needs to be sterilized. Now, I've made yogurt in the past, but you heat up the milk typically, and in this one we don't, so maybe that's why. So anyway, I do it anyway. I just use boiling water. I take my jar, actually is the one thing I don't do with boiling water. I just put some water in it, swish it around, and I put it in the microwave for 2 minutes. And I've even done 3. And that, apparently the steam and everything coming off that will sterilize the inside of that jar. Then the other thing we do is we sterilize the strainer that we're going to use when we drain the cashews. I don't typically make a point of sterilizing my cup container that I soak the cashews in, because I'm pouring boiling water in it when I'm soaking the cashews. So I figure it's sterile enough, and this is about my 3rd or 4th batch, and I've never had a problem. So once everything's all sterilized, we're going to drain the cashews, and then we are going to pop them back into the cup container for the NutriBullet. I just soak it in that because then I'm not dirtying 2 containers. You can do a separate container if you want, and then you need to sterilize the cup for the NutriBullet or whatever blender you're using. I'm not sure that this would work with a food processor. I really think you need a high-speed blender of some sort to be able to blend up those cashews. But this NutriBullet that Glenn got me, honestly, has become my favorite. I do have my big Pampered Chef blender, and I use that for like hummus and different things. But this NutriBullet does just as good a job of blending, and I like the size and the ease of getting it in and out of the cupboard, on the counter, etc. It's a perfect size for my morning smoothie. It fills my Yeti cup just to the right amount, and yeah, so it wasn't even all that expensive. I think it was about $50. So you might want to look into that if you're looking at doing this. I use it for grinding spices. I use it for grinding my own oats for oat flour, and it works really well. It's never let me down yet. So once we get everything, the cashews drained, we're putting them back in the cup, and then I'm adding 1 can of coconut milk. Now I'm using organic, and I get mine at Costco. Actually, it was a really good price for a case of 6. So it's organic, it has only coconut and water. There's no other gargums or anything else in there. So I really liked that, and the price was really good. It was cheaper than buying it by the can in the grocery store. So I bought those. So I'm going to add the 1 can of coconut milk, and then I'm adding 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. The recipe called for 2, and honestly, I wouldn't typically put any, because to me the coconut milk is sweet enough. But I'm wondering if it needs that bit of sugar for the fermentation process to make the yogurt. So I put 1 in instead of 2. The first time I did 2, and it was yummy. I mean, it was good. It was like a dessert right out of the jar. But I really don't want it sweet all the time. Sometimes I use it in place of sour cream on potatoes or something, and I just didn't really want it sweet. So I found the 1 tablespoon worked, and it wasn't overly sweet. Also, the longer it sits in the fridge, it does get more tangy, and the longer you incubate it in the, I'm using an Instapot, the more tangy it gets. So you can play with it yourself. I do 12 hours in the Instant Pot just on the yogurt setting. You'll see that later. So I add the coconut milk into the container, and then I add 2 tablespoons approximately. As you can tell, I use very accurate measurements in this kitchen of my previously made yogurt, and that is my starter. I put the top on, I blend it up, make sure it's really well blended. Then I pour it into the mason jar that I have sterilized, and then I put it in the Instant Pot. And you take the trivet thing out, you just sit it right in the pot. I do leave it sealed, sealed, not vent. And then I just press the yogurt button till it comes to 12 hours, and then I leave it, and 12 hours later I've got yogurt. So you can see from the yogurt that I put in as the starter, it's very thick, very creamy, it's not runny, it's really good. I am using a full fat coconut milk. The recipe called for light, but they said it wouldn't work with light or with full fat, and it works for me every time. And I find it really hard to find canned light coconut milk that is a decent price. So I tried it, it worked, so I'm sticking with the full fat. Anyway, let me know if you try this. Leave comments down below. Subscribe to my channel if you're interested in the upcoming things that I'm going to have posted, or even the things I already have. As I've shared in my last video, you know, I am predominantly going to be focusing on whole food plant-based recipes, but I have lots of other recipes that are already on my channel, using the Instant Pot to make casseroles, just all kinds of family, frugal, friendly things. So, thank you for coming to my kitchen. Thank you for hanging out with me this morning, and have a great day. We'll see you again.